3, 2, 1.
Yes, g'day, good night, good evening, wherever you are right now watching this. We are live right now, but this will be replayed all the time, so I've got to cover it all. We are live at the moment from Ben Kavanagh Reserve. We are at the Mordialloc Bloods. It is the GameFace Footy Show for the SFNL Division 1. And I tell you what, it is electric down here, Will Hunter, as I introduce you to what looks to be a magnificent club rooms. Yeah, how good is it down at Mordialloc?
Mate, absolutely spectacular. They've certainly done well off the Kingston City Council. I think the Kingston Council.
City of Kingston, correct.
They've done a fantastic job, and it looks absolutely sensational.
It is, absolutely.
It's a place to be here, Mordialloc, mate.
It is the place to be as we welcome you, Ben. Look at Lockwood to the panel. You have been here many times before.
I have.
Doyen of this football league and all the footballers around here, and especially Div 1 this year. You've been right across it.
I wouldn't say that, Robbo, but no, good to be here.
Yep.
It took me about 90 seconds to get here tonight, so I like these ones. Nice and close to home.
Yeah, I
so
do
fantastic.
too. Absolutely. It took me 5 minutes to get here. I'm loving that.
Yeah, it's very good.
And we've got to introduce the man that's sitting next to you and you. It is Josh Speedy McPherson. Speedy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Very good.
Nice to meet you, mate. I just raced in here and I've sat down. I haven't had a chance to get around and meet the boys. They're all sat around at the moment having a look at you, so you're feeling a little bit under the pump at the moment.
Yeah, giving me a bit of shit. That's all right. All good.
It is, of course, selection night. Everyone in football knows how that goes down. You train a little bit, you don't get too over the top, then you get into the club rooms, you have a meal. You read out the teams. Is that what happens here, Speedy?
Yeah, that tends to happen. The Zealies put on a good meal for us every week, fish and chips tonight, so
nice.
Can't complain.
Oh,
Heard you had Palmer's for the last 3 months.
Yeah, we've had halal snack packs, Palmer's, chicken, inside chicken. He loves his chicken.
Bloody hell, they pull out all the stops here, don't they, Robbo?
They certainly do. And Lockers, how good is this? The boys are all here. They haven't left. They're sticking around. How good is the club pride around here?
Yeah, no, very good. It's always been pretty strong here. The one thing, Morty boys are pretty good after night, so after dark. So always have been, always will be, I suppose.
Got nothing to do on a Saturday night during the footy season. I should come down to Ben Kavanagh Reserve.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's get through some top stories before we crack into what's happening in this club room at the moment. The SFNL obviously doing a live show regularly throughout the season. We've done it a couple of times, Will. We'd like to do more, wouldn't we? We'd love to get out and meet more of these clubs, do live shows. That's why we're here tonight.
We're people. We like getting out and amongst the people and seeing what's happening down at Clubland. That's what we're all about, man.
Absolutely, and I must add that we are not just talking about football tonight. We can see some of the netballers in the background here.
And the women's footballers as well getting in.
It is a club that is just going off at the moment, right? The vibe is fantastic. Cheltenham were a club that went off on the weekend. They claimed the Pride Cup. We talked a lot about that, Will, didn't we, last week in our GameFace coverage? The top
fantastic initiative for the league.
It was absolutely awesome. The Pride, obviously, looking now, you say it really well, and I get it wrong every time. It is the LGBTI.
LGBTI, yeah.
I did it right. Well done.
Well done.
Now, under Cheltenham, they claimed the Pride Cup. East Malvern returned to form with a big win. But first, let's go to the GameFace app with an update thanks to Petter's Suspension and Brakes and Jane Blunt. I mean, I say it every week, Will Hunter.
G'day, guys. Well, it was a cracking weekend of SFNL footy, and if you weren't checking out the GameFace record app this week, you missed a ton of stuff. In Division 1, Cheltenham took home the 2019 Pride Cup with a hard-fought victory over Bentley. A tough slog in awful conditions, but the Rosella stood tall to win a thriller by just 4 points. Over at the Peanut Farm in second game, Jordan Tabachman inspired St Kilda City to an upset 5-point victory over the reigning Premier St Paul's. While the other somewhat surprising result was the ease with which East Malvern dismantled the informed Port Melbourne Colts on their home deck. The final margin, 65 points. Dingley and Mordialloc also recorded victories over Hyde and Oakley District. Now, guys, remember, there's plenty more to see on the GameFace record app, including all the live scores, latest news headlines, post-game interviews, goal-kicking leaderboards, and the weekly top 10 player rankings, which is always a great topic of conversation, with all divisions of footy and netball covered. So make sure you get involved with that by downloading the GameFace record app for free from the App Store or Google Play. Get your GameFace.
Just a little bit of me time there, Ben Lockwood, with Will Hunter. He does that during the day when we're not around. It's all about Will with that one, isn't it?
I'm always the top dog when you're not around, so...
That was a long segment, Will.
Anyway,
I need a bit of me time. What can I say?
Not sure about that handball, mate.
What's the form?
Well, when you've got a right foot as lethal as mine, you don't need a handball. So
yeah, right. How's that calf injury coming along?
Shut up, Robbo.
Our first guest, thanks to Petter's Suspension, is Speedy. I've already introduced the man of the moment. The boys are just eagerly awaiting to hear what you have to say. Mate, obviously the football club, we're here to talk about your boys. How's it been this season for you out there on the field? The form, the team, individuals, go for your life.
We started off very well. 2-0, we knocked off East Melbourne and St Paul's. After that, probably been pretty inconsistent, I think. I think we all think that. Our best is quite good, we think. It's just about putting it all together, and I think that's probably let us down a fair few times, unfortunately.
Now, let's be honest, Josh. You started well, 2-0. You did your hammy out for 10 weeks. You've come back and the form's back again. So you can actually say it is all about you this year.
Well, I played against East Melbourne round 10 and St Paul's round 11 and we lost. So it's not all me.
That was you just getting back into form, though, and you relaunched again on Saturday. So
hopefully we can take off rest of the season. We know we need to be pretty good to sort of make the finals now, but we think as I said, our best is definitely good enough.
Future's definitely in your hands for the remainder of the season. But how's the body feeling? Obviously, such a long time out of the game. You feeling okay?
Yeah, feeling
Hammy's
good
all good
now. Yeah, well, the 3 weeks I played now. First 2 weeks were probably just getting back into it. But yeah, the 3rd week I'm really starting to find myself now. Trained all this week, so yeah, it should be great for the run home.
BOG in your first game of the season, a little bit of head wobble.
I had a bit of a day out. The ball bounced my way a few times, and we got on the receiving end of some good play.
Did you get any bad weather or not? Was it all right down here?
it was.
On the weekend, it was awful.
It was horrendous.
Wasn't it?
Yeah,
It hailed sideways. It was hitting this window. First bounce, absolutely the hardest hailstorm I've seen in a while.
Where were you on the weekend?
I was in Tasmania, actually.
Robbo might have played 3 minutes in the thirds down at Dingley Saturday morning.
I've heard
They
this.
reckon he ran on the ground. He waved to the crowd, jumped in his car and drove straight to the airport.
Did that one as I ran onto the ground, and you know what? It was hilarious. Obviously, I've got a bit of an injury this year. There's no secret about that. A bit of a split quad. It's held me right back. That's probably been 9 weeks, Wilbur, now. I've been able to play a long time. But we've got to get me qualified just in case it comes good. And went down to Doveton during the week, and the boys are like, you better get out and qualify for a game. Would you play in the thirds? Jesus, all right. So I did that. Jumped out of bed, chucked on the kit.
The kit.
Went straight downstairs, chucked my boots on, got in the car, drove down to Dingley. I've never been to that ground. Watched them run out with about 2 minutes before the bounce. Both teams ran out onto the ground. It was that awful cold rain coming in sideways. I've run out in the ground and one of the boys has just gone, I've heard this, "Hey, Robbo, you effing loser, you've really made it now, haven't you?" Look over, it was one of the W boys. So I've run into the middle of the ground thinking, oh no, I'll just hang back. The ball came straight to me, so I've run away from it, backwards. One of the boys has picked it up and handball to me. I'm like, idiot. So I just kicked it, ran off, jumped straight in the car, went home. But it's not about me, Speedy. It's about you and it's about this football club. It was a shocking day on the weekend, but the ball doesn't tend to bounce your way on those sorts of days. I don't think I ever got a kick on rainy. Are you a rainy day specialist?
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not.
No, we've got a few bigger bodies that tend to play better in the wet. I just try and get on the end for some goals, but I'll let them do all the hard stuff.
And talk about your teammates in the room as they start to filter out, because it is getting late. They've got a game to prepare for this weekend. You're taking on Cheltenham this weekend, I believe. That's going to be a very tough game for you.
Huge game.
And we'll dissect that in a minute, Ben Lockwood. But some of the boys around here, who's the characters in the room? Who are the guys that you love to be around? Who are the guys you hate being around?
Harry Haley just there on his phone, texting away in the white beanie. Yeah,
always.
Horsey. Hollywood, we like to call him.
He's above this, isn't he?
Yeah, he's, I think, texting the missus in a bit of tight leash.
Oh boy.
What's he wearing over there? He's running the tights with the big work boots.
Mate, blokes don't, as you can see why Speedy's a tie, mate, blokes do not shower anymore. I don't know what is their issue. They do not shower.
Well, a few of us do, but I forgot the towels.
Forgot to shower.
Who else do we have? Hamish Curtis. I don't know if he's still there. He's always very entertaining.
He's floating around somewhere before.
Yeah, and Ryan Semmel here, our gun.
Oh, Ryan
Doesn't
Semmel.
say much. Sort of just grunts.
Look at the Ugg boots on the man.
Yeah, he's
Got to get a shot of that. The Ugg boots, and
he can do what he wants. I think.
Quite seriously though, I reckon Wilbur, we've read his name out that many times, because you've chosen him for the team of the week nearly every week, if not every second week. He's been good this year, hasn't he, Speedy?
Yeah, he's a very good player. Very when we're playing well, he tends to be definitely on top.
On top.
Yeah.
And both of his brothers are good footballers as well. So the whole family, they're all guns, and all built the same way, like a brick shit house. So you don't want to sort of run into a contest against them because you're definitely going to come off second best.
So, Lockers, you're sitting on the fence, obviously not your club, but what are you seeing with this football club at the moment? The Bloods, is there a blood vibe here? Has there always been a blood? Because you think of the Bloods, you think of the Sydney Swans and that attitude towards playing football. How are they going about it this year, and what have they got to do to make it a finals?
They've always played with great spirit, Mordialloc. You know, back in the day when they were struggling in Division 2 and when they were in Division 1 and not probably winning the games they thought or hoped they would, they've always played with great spirit. Their crowd are interesting. They can, and Spurdy will agree with me here. They can turn on you a little bit internally, but they're good fun. They love a winner down at Mordialloc, so they do support quite well. Even here on Saturday, the weather was horrendous, and there was still a good crowd here. Yep. Rooms after the game are always pretty busy. Everyone gets up here and has a beer. So, yeah, it is always been a real Morty town sort of spirit of this footy club. This year they're going pretty well. They had some scoring issues, which we've touched on in this show before, where they can sometimes struggle forward to centre to kick goals. Yep. The man next to me can create goals from nowhere with his pace and speed. Yep. So I expect with Josh back in the side, Big Stevie Toolong to be back in this week. They've got enough avenues to go. There's no doubt. They've just got to get it right. Yep. Get that harmony connection between backs and mids and forwards, and they could go a long way in September. There's no doubt. They've got to get there. They've got a hard round. Yep. But if they get there, they've got a hard finish to the season. But if they can get there, they can definitely create some damage come finals time.
Absolutely. And how many goals are we expecting from you on the weekend, mate? You're back and firing.
It's 2 a week is generally my aim. If I can get 2 most weeks, that's 40 goals a season, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Not a bad return.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, go for the 2.
Well, we'll get you to talk about the next game because it is, we'll talk about the game that just went down. It was the Pride Cup, and that was, and we'll get you to stick on the panel as we go through the next little section. It was the Pride Cup. Tremendous day down at Bentley for the Pride Cup. I know it was the Bentley Football Club that wore that beautiful jumper that they designed for the day. But it was played between Cheltenham and Bentley. Cheltenham took the trophy with a 4-point victory in the tough conditions. A day that was more than just about the 4 points for both clubs. Netball club, the whole club itself got really involved. And it was the Southern Football Netball League initiative. It's been done for a couple of years now, Wilbur, if I'm saying this correctly. And it's the first league that's embraced a Pride round.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been, I think, 3 years now. It's been going in its current form, and yeah, they're the pioneers of it, the Southern Footy League, and they've done a great job. Not a great spectacle with only, I think, 9 goals kicked for the day, but Cheltenham, they took the points, and obviously the Pride Cup as well, which is fantastic. Desi Ryan's been the coach of that club for, 4 or 5 years now, Lockers?
It's his 4th year this year.
4th year this year, and that's the first time that they've beaten Bentley at Bentley, so fantastic win for Cheltenham, but obviously it was a day that was about more than just 4 points, and obviously the tie-in with Mordialloc held the Pride Cup last year and knocked off Dingley in a fantastic win for the club last year. So they're good to see the SFNL clubs like your Cheltenhams, like your Mordiallocs really getting around it.
Well done to all clubs involved, and get involved with that every single year. You've got to take on Cheltenham Speedy this week. They're a good club. Obviously you've had a look at them during the week. You're going to head down to their ground. They're in Weatherall Road. How do you reckon you're going to go this week?
I think, we should be fine. We've got a few wins this week. To add to, we felt like even when we lost to East Melbourne and St Paul's, we played good footy. So it's now just starting to build momentum. I think we are definitely doing that. So we think we can go down there and beat them easily.
And players you've got to look out for Chelt. Who do you guys think, they're danger players? Who do you got to watch?
Well, I was injured last time we played them. But obviously they signed one of my mates, Charlie Kelso. Who's the big ruckman who I think played pretty well.
I reckon he might be in Bali just quietly this weekend, so I don't think he's playing, but he's 211 centimetres, so he's a tall guy, absolutely.
He is enormous.
Dylan Weikart and Will McTaggart are probably the 2 when we played him last time. I think Will McTaggart kicked 3 or 4 from not many opportunities, and Dylan Weikart's obviously had a pretty good career.
Absolutely.
So, they're the 2 I'd probably say.
It'll be a good game. I know one thing when we get to the tips, Robbo, that one bloke on the panel's picked him and one bloke hasn't. So I reckon I'll be welcome back to Mordialloc, just quietly, when we get to the tips later on.
Mate. Well, you've got to get ahead because I think you're slightly behind.
I think I might have won last week, though.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
Only as good as your last week, Robbo, as we know in footy.
We'll get to that towards the end of the show.
He's been garbage for about 6 or 7 weeks, and all of a sudden he gets one up on me, and he's bloody throwing shade left, right, and centre.
up and about.
Well, the good thing is, Speedy, you've got a decent day on Saturday. There might be a little bit of wind about, but no rain predicted. So hopefully you can get down there and really give Cheltenham a push. I know that Cheltenham have sort of been a little bit disappointed about. They haven't been great every single week. So you'd be bullish about your chances against a pretty good club. They were thinking at the start of the year that they were going to really push for a premiership this year. Of course, they're still within, reaching punching distance of that. They're going quite nicely at the moment. But you'd be feeling really confident that you can knock them off.
Yeah, of course. We beat them out here. We only beat them by 6 or 7 points, but we felt like it could have been a lot more. Obviously, they're probably the team to beat at the moment. But in saying that, we know our best footy is quite good, and like I said before, it's just putting it all together. And we think on our day we can beat, anyone, no matter who we're playing, home or away.
It's a good attitude to have. Let's move on to another game that went down. East Melbourne, we spoke about it off the top. They had a big win and sent a big statement to the rest of the league with an 11-goal win over the Colts. Chris Carey dominated in Matt Della Libera's absence, and co-captain Jack Hammond. Great job on Chris DeLuca. The Panthers back in premiership contention now, Will Hunter.
They could very well be. I mean, I tipped them for the flag this year, and I tipped you guys to be in there as well. So I still think both sides are a big chance to make it. Certainly East Melbourne on the back of that sort of effort. I mean, the Colts are, they're up and about. They knocked off Dingley the previous week, and to thrash them the way they did, it's a big statement.
Yeah, huge statement. Their best is very good. And look, there's a few clubs that are all saying their best is very good. So it might be one of those years where you've just got to be hitting the form at the right time of the year.
Yep.
At the minute, they're probably the most informed side. Still a fair way to go. Still 6 rounds to go at the end of the year. Got to hold that form through finals. But at the minute, they're getting lots of scoring opportunities through different forwards. It's not the same guys every week. So, we've spoken about Chris Carey enough. He is without doubt the best ruckman in the comp, but by a fair way. They're saying Saturday again he had another 35 touches. So he's a ruckman that actually gets heaps of the footy as well. So,
and he's got elite skills too. I mean, I don't think I've seen a ruckman at local level dominate around the ground as well as he has. Is that have you come across any sort of similar players throughout your local footy career?
He's as good as we've seen. He played pretty well. Both times we played him, he played really well. But like we said, we played them 2 weeks ago. They were pretty good, and they were just a bit harder than us, and they got the points.
Speedy, you look at the AFL at the moment, and you could probably cast the net over four or five teams that could really damage when it gets to finals football. There's no clear cut. I mean, in the past, it's been Hawthorn. It might have been a Geelong back in the day. At the moment, it feels like probably 5 or 6 teams could really threaten when it gets into the real crunch of finals football. And I reckon this league, this division, really mirrors that. And Ben, you can comment on this too. I'm struggling to say, yes, there are a couple of teams that have been pretty dominant all year, but when it gets to that really finite, hard-fought, the tackling side of finals, it's a different game, isn't it? There's probably about 4 or 5 clubs that could take it, and this is one of them.
There's 6 or 7.
Clubs.
I'd say
at
7.
Least.
There's 7 clubs.
Which is great. It's great for
fantastic.
football. Yep.
So, definitely, 2017 AFL, Western Bulldogs this time of the year. No one was talking them up.
Yeah.
And look, they had a fantastic last 4 weeks of the year. So it's not beyond a Morty Alec. It's not beyond a St Kilda City if they can make it. I think it's going to be harder for St Kilda City and say Bentley and Port Colts, because I think they've got some facets of their game that probably aren't as strong as the other 5. But the other 5 are really rounded, play the 3 facets. Attack, defence, and loose ball gets really, really evenly across the board. So, but again, it's going to come down to form. Who's up and about? Injuries always play a part. I know you blokes, Josh, you've got a lot of blokes that like travelling overseas this year, which is, I know, frustrated a Coxie and the boys. But it is what happens at local footy these days.
It's a coach killer, isn't it?
It's an absolute. That's why I don't coach anymore, and that's why I've got grey hair everywhere. It is a nightmare. But you deal with it, you move on.
You ever nicked off mid-season?
They'll come back.
Have you ever nicked off mid-season on a little holiday?
I did last year at my old club, and we made a grand final and we lost by 6 points.
So that's why they lost, because you nicked off.
I don't think so, but it wasn't
Speedy comes from the VAFA, mate. They all nick off.
Yeah,
let's
they
be
do
honest.
too. That's absolutely true. We've got to get to a break, but before I send that message to Plugger over here, who's Radio Mike for us tonight, who's running the switchboard over here, I want to get you Smokey out of this league. Now, of course, you can't talk about Morty Alec for this one. I want another club from you. It might be Morty Alec from you, both of you boys. Who's your smoker to win a premiership? I think you've had an eye on a team all year. We'll start with you, Will. It's hard to say at the moment.
It's really difficult. It sort of comes down to who can sort of keep their core group of players together. Look, probably look, I'd probably say Port Colts. Either Port Colts or Morty Alec would be the two. But whichever of those two clubs pinches fifth spot is a big show.
Yep. Ben, I'll go to you now.
Morty Alec, definitely a chance there. Best footy's good enough. I'll say St Kilda City, just with a couple of recruits. Obviously, apparently Billy Hartung had 50 touches on the weekend.
Did he?
That's what they reckon. 50's a lot. So
he's backed up an average performance the week before.
That come from Rod Gambling, so he probably had 15. But anyway, it sounds good, 50. But they beat St Paul's on the weekend, reigning premier. They could win it. Again, it just shows it's wide open.
And Speedy, who impresses you out of all these teams? We know the guys are at the top of the ladder, but you've played against all of them now. Who's really impressed you?
St Kilda City, the other week we played them, were pretty good. Pretty well drilled, well structured. And then they had Billy Hartung and a couple others. I think probably maybe not the best team, but definitely a smoky.
That's great insight. We do got to get to a break.
Before we do, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's got the better mustache? Stevie Tolongs, Russell Robertson.
Where's Stevie?
He's floating around. Is he still around?
I'm not. No, he doesn't take too long.
They reckon.
Bug it off.
There's a better one, Will Mattingly.
There's one over here.
Will Mattingly's got a fair one.
Will Mattingly. He's just sitting at the back there.
Green hat.
He's got a fair moustache.
Yeah.
Probably better than Stevie Toolongs, I reckon.
Oh yeah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, he's well groomed too.
We might have to go and find him after the break, fellas.
Yeah.
Just quickly, sorry to butt in. I just wanted to have a look at some of our viewers. Will Mattingly wants to say, great to see some support from the Melbourne Football Club tonight on the panel. Adam Uze supporting local footy.
Everywhere I go.
Is there any fire back there, Robbo? But we encourage our viewers to get engaged in the live shows, and we appreciate the comment.
No, I really appreciate the comment. Thank you very much. You know, it's funny. Everywhere I go, boys, people call me Adam Uze because I look similar to him out on the football field. He's a tremendous footballer, so if you want to call me that, go right ahead.
Absolutely.
My mum couldn't tell us apart. She used to say to me, "You had about 30 possessions today."
On the wing,
Mum.
On the wing, son.
Yeah, Mum, you've got me confused with Adam Uze.
Uze used to wear the longie, and we know your thoughts on him, so don't know how to get that confused.
You don't be wearing long sleeves. Any others from you, Plugger, over there before we take off? No, we're going to take a break. We are doing it live for the GameFace Footy Show. If you haven't got the app, make sure you do that. Get into the App Store, Google App Store or iTunes Store and download the GameFace app. You can stay up to date with all the happenings within all the Southern Football Netball League divisions, especially this one, Division 1. We do live shows. Sometimes we do live, GameFace Footy shows from club rooms like we're doing right now. We are down at Ben Kavanagh Reserve in Morty Alley. We're doing it for the Bloods tonight. We'll be back after these short messages or just a short break. We'll go with that.
How do you measure the difference between success or failure? Sports Performance Tracking's GPS, the latest wearable sports technology developed for athletes and teams, gives you the advantage like global professional sports people. Monitor, compare and improve your individual or team's performance to get that winning edge.
It has given us an invaluable resource, not only as coaches to understand what our players are capable of at training on a game day, but more importantly for the players to understand what they're capable of and give them benchmarks to work towards every single week to make them better players in the long run.
Sports Performance Tracking GPS, your personal sports scientist. Available now at sportsperformancetracking.com.
Garley Trophy Centre is a long-established business that has been operating for over 47 years and is a leading retailer of trophies and awards in Melbourne. Our showroom is in Hallam with thousands of trophies on display. In October 2018, Garley Trophy Centre was incorporated into the Recognition ID business, which specialises in supplying name badges, signage and branded promotional items. We're all about sponsoring local clubs and giving back to the community.
Hi, Mark Petter from Petter Suspension and Brakes, family Australian-owned business, been around for 70 years. So our main services is obviously suspension and brakes. We've been specialising in suspension for the past 60-odd years, introduced brakes 5 or 6 years ago. Any suspension and brake needs, whether it's just from a basic repair to a full upgrade, we can take care of it.
We are highly competitive in all areas of banking activity. We've given back over $1,350,000 to community organisations.
We give 80% of our profits back to the community.
So why don't you come and join us, and together let's make a difference. what, how, why, who. It all begins with you.
My name is Ross McFarlane. I'm the Speaker for JLF Corporation's 7 Steps program. 7-Step program is basically built on taking your time to build a portfolio of properties with a focus on cash flow and compound growth. So what we're looking for is really anyone over 18 that wants to educate themselves, so when they're ready to go ahead, they've already got the knowledge there.
MelSafe is a leading provider of certification, audit and compliance services, specialising in safety, quality, environmental and chain of custody standards. We offer a professional service that provides you with assurance that your processes comply with relevant requirements. Visit our website to see how we can help you meet or maintain best practice for your compliance or certification needs.
Well, welcome back to Ben Kavanagh Reserve, where we are doing it live for GameFace and for the Mordialloc Football Club, the Bloods. It's great to be in there. Fantastic club rooms. And we've joined on the panel by Mickey Brown, the coach of the Mordialloc Bloods. Mickey, this is pretty new, this club rooms, wouldn't I would have thought?
Yeah, so I think we moved in here pretty much this time last year.
Yep.
So yeah, we were in the sheds for most of last year, but yeah, great facility. Obviously, the upstairs part, and to watch games from the balcony is pretty handy. And yeah, downstairs both set of rooms are pretty big. I think the visitors' rooms are almost too big. We should make them a bit
Close
smaller.
them up.
But
close them up. Turn the hot water off.
Yeah,
do all that stuff.
But it's a bit too nice, I think. So.
We were at East Malvern a few weeks back, Will Hunter, and they had a similar setup where you can sit up here in the bar and you can look down on the football and really enjoy a great game from height. That seems to be the modus operandi for most football clubs at the moment. If you can get the money to do it, this is fantastic. They've got it going on down here at Ben Kavanagh Reserve, and everything's new and it looks great. And Lockers, you've noticed something that's new behind you at the moment. I know you're a bit of a school teacher type.
Yeah, one thing, I'll mix the school teacher, but just one thing, Darren Gatt, the Vice President here, obviously looks after sponsorship.
Yep.
And as you can see by the board behind us, he's a Collingwood supporter.
Yep.
Spent, I reckon, 25 years in the Collingwood cheer squad.
What's that got to do with...
obviously running the spelling because he's Mordialloc with an I.
The Lickers.
Mordialloc.
The Lickers.
So,
Count the
I
Lickers.
hope he had a skull or something like that, Mickey, for a mistake.
I think it's just been noticed. I don't know if they're going to be
It's only just been noticed.
We won't be allowed back in. We've picked it up.
You've picked it up.
Brownie, you've got some great sponsors down here, and we've put some of them on the table here. How important have they been to your football club over the years?
Yeah, obviously massive. If your footy clubs, need support and for everything for the club to run. So those. And I think the great thing about our sponsors, they turn up most Saturdays to watch as well, which is you can sort of get to know them and they're local people. So so it's massive.
I love that. And look, we'll get into the game now. We'll talk about your game on the weekend, Oakley Districts, Mordialloc. Shocking conditions. How'd the boys go, mate? We'll run some of the highlights of the game. There might even be a few lowlights in there because of the weather conditions. As a coach, how was it, mate?
I was sort of happy because I think we actually play well in those conditions.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty desperate for any win at the moment. So I don't think the boys were happy with the conditions, but look, they played really well and they toughed it out every minute. We got some bigger, older bodies that played well in that condition. So all in all, it was pretty good.
Great start to the game. I think 11 scoring shots in the first quarter to 0.
Yeah,
3-8 to no score, I think.
Sort of the twos game didn't really pan out that there was a big scoring end. So we didn't sort of think about how big that scoring end was, and basically, we had 11 scoring shots to 0 in the first quarter, and then we didn't get it past halfway in the second quarter. It was blowing an absolute gale. So we managed to restrict them, and we played some good footy in that second quarter, even though we didn't score.
Absolutely.
So played the conditions well.
That was a real noticeable thing on Saturday. Was your big bodies across the board. You look at down the back line. Al Jackson's a big-bodied fullback.
Yeah.
Right through to Jimmy Morris in the forward line, big body, Dan Nichols and the type. So you were really strong over the footy Saturday.
Yeah.
They're pretty young. But that was the real thing, though, sitting from up here in the warmth and the air conditioning was your strength around the contest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose even some of our younger guys are big, strong bodies. I mean, if you look at like Hamish Curtis, he's only 22 or something, but he's, took some good grabs on the weekend and is really strong over the footy.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That's sort of our brand. So, yeah, keep it raining.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You talked about having some big bodies in the side, some older heads, some guys that can really take control of games when things are starting to look a little bit shaky. We've got a photo of one of your better players, Ryan Semmel, from the weekend. Geez, he's ageing well, isn't he? What is he, 28 there? Yeah, looking really, really good. Or it must have been a few close games this year.
He does get battered and beaten up every week.
He's actually just had a kid a couple of weeks ago, so
that's it.
Maybe it's that. I spoke to him before.
There's a few of us on the panel that can understand that.
Oh, yeah. like a fine wine, he reckons. He got on the Facebook and commented like a fine wine. But no, he's playing some tremendous footy. Is Ryan Semmel, and Plugger, I think we had an interesting little comment come through on our live stream as well, didn't we, Bud?
Previous guest,
I don't think your
a lookalike, Jim from American Pie.
Jim from American Pie.
For Joshy, for Speedy McPherson.
I'll go with that. Yeah,
I'll go with that.
And Will and I had a quick look in the ad break, and pretty close, guys. So keep the comments coming from the viewers, and back to you guys.
If anyone's seen American Pie, we've got to keep Speedy away from the pastries, I think. That's,
yeah, that's a good one. Good show.
It's good for you, Will. Very good. Well done.
Just staying right ahead of the curve here at GameFace 2 with that aging app or whatever it is, the photo app where you can make
I didn't know anything about it till tonight.
Jump on the bandwagon.
It is everywhere.
The aging app would be wasted on YouTube, blokes, I think.
Absolutely. It's already been done to me. Naturally.
I've had mine done. It's terrible. It's really terrible. The mustache just gets really grey. I'm afraid, sorry to say. Brownie, you've had a good look at some of the guys, some of the teams that you've played against this year. Who's the one that really worries you the most? I mean, of course, you're the coach. That's your job to worry about other teams. Who's the team that's looking the goods that's not your team?
I reckon it's just such an even comp. And that shows week in, week out where, I think we've probably lost 4 or 5 games by under 15 points or something around that. So in terms of, I think the best game we've played into the year was actually our first one against East Melbourne. We felt like we played out of our skins that day, and they were, I think we beat them by a couple of goals. So, I rate East Melbourne really highly. But St Paul's just keep doing it. On a big ground where the finals are going to be played, they're going to play some really good footy. Look, we played Shelled out here when it was blowing a gale, so it was a bit of a hard one to get a gauge on.
Yep.
So and obviously Dingley just keep doing what they do.
Dingley do it, Dingley do.
Yeah, and it's really even, and then you've got these probably 4 sides fighting for this probably last spot in the finals.
Which is you, and you're right in there with a real chance. You've got to play the Rosellas down at Wetherall Road this weekend coming. Let's talk about the game, mate. Who you got your eye on? Who are you going to stop? What makes them such a good side? How are you going to beat them?
They've obviously got some real good top end. Weikart, McLaren, McTaggart. Looking at them, I think they've kicked 49 or 48 goals between them, those two tall blokes.
Yep.
So, but I think one of our keys, and people probably don't notice it as much, but to have Dicko at centre half back, he's 6'5" centre half back. So he plays well every week, and then we've got Al Jackson. So hopefully those two can cover those two off. They've obviously gone young, which is great. I actually taught about 4 or 5 of their boys. Went to St James, so it's great to see them play well, but hopefully not that well this week. But so they've obviously got some youth in there, and they've got a bit of speed. So it'll be an interesting game. And like I said, the game out here was hard to tell how good they were and how good we were on that day. So just one of those ones where you just want to tick off and get 4 points.
The one thing you can guarantee is that it's always close. Mordialloc versus Chelt through the years. Even back 10, 15 years ago when either side were a fair way apart in the ladder, you can guarantee some really close footy.
Yeah.
It'll be the same.
Like
on
a
Saturday.
Geelong Hawthorn.
Absolutely, it's a
rivalry.
fair rivalry.
Collingwood Carlton as well. You can throw into that mix.
There's fair to say there's not a lot of love lost between the two clubs.
Yep.
With supporter base. So
Yep.
yeah, it might be an interesting little time down there on Saturday afternoon to have a watch.
Might have to venture down.
Venture down. You can walk down.
I could walk there.
Yeah.
Nice little cafe too, just a
Just
stone's
across the
throw.
road.
Oh, you got to look after the quad though. Just be careful.
Yeah, don't you worry about me. You worry about your own rig, mate. You got any questions for the coach at all, Will? You've been surprisingly quiet tonight.
Look, the first one I had was what the hell's going on with Tom Curry and his socks and sandals type setup? How do you allow that as a senior coach? That is a shocker.
That's some good gear,
mate.
Is he still here floating around?
No, I haven't seen him.
No, he's just left.
Young blue socks
Mate,
and
he
the
just
brown
rolls that
sandals.
all the time. That's just what he does, so let him go.
Every football club needs their clowns, don't they? You've got to have those guys that really bring the comedy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The Footy has been...
Especially with what they wear.
Yeah.
You know. And those idiots that'll have a mustache, that's just not...
Just no good.
No.
The thing I got a surprise at tonight, the lack of blokes having a shower. Be saving a fortune on the water bill. It's outrageous. It's
weird.
dead.
Yeah. I remember I I coached St Joey's down in Geelong, and there was a rule: you had to have a shower.
Absolutely.
You were not allowed to have a shower with your jocks on.
No,
That's
exactly
it.
right.
That's a cardinal sin in footy.
Yep.
I had that rule at a couple of clubs I've coached, and I lost a few players, fair to say. Some of the young kids weren't real happy about that rule.
They've got the cubicles now.
Yeah, they've even got cubicles. Yeah. So, it's amazing.
Oh, well, we can't comment too much on that because we might get some rhetoric thrown at us.
We'll get in trouble.
That's the way it goes. And that's probably the last question before we move on to the team of the week. These two boys have worked really hard.
I've got one question for Mick.
Yep, go on. You can go first.
Obviously, one of your issues, Mick, I suppose, that some of the good clubs have got is this big ruckman. You guys don't actually have a key ruckman. You've had to flip the magnets around. So coming up, against the better sides, obviously East Malvern, you've spoken about Carey, Cheltenham. Got big Kelso, who's about 211 centimetres. No, he's not playing this week.
Yeah.
How do you guys counter that week in, week out? 'Cause you do have to look at your structures around the footy.
It's interesting. We've actually won the stoppages most weeks.
Yep.
But it hurts us on the when the opposition wins them, they win them well.
Yeah.
And that's probably does hurt us at times. I think we've only had Justin Summons for about 4 or 5 games.
Yep.
He's obviously very undersized, but the work he does around the ground is superb.
Yeah, absolutely. He's super fit.
Super fit, and, like day against Dingley, I reckon he had 25, 30 touches.
Yep.
Port Colts, he probably did the same. So he can hurt them around the ground, but, yeah, definitely around stoppages we can be hurt. Dicko's probably...
That's one thing you say. Dicko's a really good player at centre back, no doubt. Played a lot of footy there. I do notice in some games I've watched you've had to throw him in the ruck.
Yeah, I've had to. It sort of wrecks the structure a little bit when we've had to do that. So we try not to, but, just horses for courses.
Absolutely.
Every week. I mean, we've sort of actually probably played a different ruck most weeks depending on what their ruckman's like.
Yep.
Not ideal. I mean, we sort of had a few ruckman insights over the summer and... didn't eventuate. We unfortunately Rhett Sutton was going to play, hurt his back. So things just didn't work out there. But you deal with what you've got.
Absolutely, you got to deal with the cards you've been handed, and you've still got some good cards. So as you said, around your clearance and stoppage stuff, led by Ryan Semmel. You do win your fair share, which is it's a credit to those guys and their work rate, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Now, Brownie, one of the biggest challenges in football these days isn't necessarily hardball gets and game plans and the umpires and what they're doing. The hardest part of football, I reckon, would have to be fair dinkum coaching these young kids these days, because they are a different breed altogether, and that's because of the technology of today. It moves so fast, and old blokes like me, well, especially Lockers and me, we don't keep up as much as we'd like to, so we don't have to coach anyone at the moment. That's why he's giving it away. It's why he's so grey. It's why I don't do it. Will, I don't know what the hell you do most of your days. You're at GameFace working real hard, I know that much. How do you coach these guys? And you're also teaching them at schools as well. So give us some insights, because some coaches out there that are watching right now, they want to know how to deal with these guys. How do you do it?
Well, most of the blokes in this side are pretty much the same age as me. So I'm 34. So I think there's 4 that are older than me, and there's probably most of our squad, unfortunately, is sort of from the age of 29 to 34. So they're a little bit different. I think one of the biggest issues we have is because of that age bracket, they're all families and, they're running their own businesses and so on. So that's probably the bigger issue for us rather than the technology side of things. But yeah, it's a little bit different.
You've just got to be willing to bend and move with the changes.
Got to flex, I think, isn't it? Isn't it called flexing? You've got to flex for
flex. Be a rolling stone. Mickey Brown, you've been absolutely sensational for us today on the GameFace Footy Show live panel. We're doing it live here down at Ben Kavanagh Reserve. Is that right? Have I gotten that right?
Yep. Ben Kavanagh.
Yep. Who is Ben Kavanagh, just quickly? Do you know?
Some guy.
I'm not too sure. There's a bit of homework for you. Next
I'll
time I meet you, I want to know.
Yeah.
All right.
I heard from a reliable source that most of these venues that are named after people are usually old council workers or people that are involved in local government organisations.
I think he was he looked after the ward many years ago, and it was his family's land, I think, from memory.
Well, we'll
Given I've lived in Morty for 20 years, I should probably...
You probably should know.
Should know, yeah. And I live at the end of the street, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, we've got to take a break. Mickey Brown, thank you very much, and good luck to you this weekend as you take on the Rosellas there at Weatherall Road. It's going to be an absolute corker of a game. I know that, you know that. Bring your best and you'll get the win. Good luck, mate, and thanks for joining us.
Cheers, thank you.
We'll take a
How
break.
do you measure the difference between success or failure? Sports Performance Tracking's GPS, the latest wearable sports technology developed for athletes and teams, gives you the advantage like global professional sports people. Monitor, compare and improve your individual or team's performance to get that winning edge.
It has given us an invaluable resource, not only as coaches to understand what our players are capable of at training on a game day, but more importantly for the players to understand what they're capable of and give them benchmarks to work towards every single week to make them better players in the long run.
Sports Performance Tracking GPS, your personal sports scientist. Available now at sportsperformancetracking.com.
Garley Trophy Centre is a long-established business that has been operating for over 47 years and is a leading retailer of trophies and awards in Melbourne. Our showroom is in Hallam with thousands of trophies on display. In October 2018, Garley Trophy Centre was incorporated into the Recognition ID business, which specialises in supplying name badges, signage and branded promotional items. We're all about sponsoring local clubs and giving back to the community.
Hi, Mark Petter from Petter Suspension and Brakes, family Australian-owned business, been around for 70 years. So our main services is obviously suspension and brakes. We've been specialising in suspension for the past 60 odd years, introduced brakes 5 or 6 years ago. Any suspension and brake needs, whether it's just from a basic repair to a full upgrade, we can take care of it.
We are highly competitive in all areas of banking activity. We've given back over $1,350,000 to community organisations.
We give 80% of our profits back to the community.
So why don't you come and join us, and together let's make a difference.
What, how, why, who? It all begins with you.
My name is Ross McFarlane. I'm the speaker for JLF Corporation's 7 Steps program. 7-Step program is basically built on taking your time to build a portfolio of properties with a focus on cash flow and compound growth. So what we're looking for is really anyone over 18 that wants to educate themselves, so when they're ready to go ahead, they've already got the knowledge there.
MelSafe is a leading provider of certification, audit and compliance services, specialising in safety, quality, environmental and chain of custody standards. We offer a professional service that provides you with assurance that your processes comply with relevant requirements. Visit our website to see how we can help you meet or maintain best practice for your compliance or certification needs.
How do you measure the difference between success or failure? Sports Performance Tracking's GPS, the latest wearable sports technology developed for athletes and teams, gives you the advantage like global professional sports people. Monitor, compare and improve your individual or team's performance to get that winning edge.
It has given us an invaluable resource, not only as coaches to understand what our players are capable of at training on a game day, but more importantly for the players to understand what they're capable of and give them benchmarks to work towards every single week to make them better players in the long run.
Sports Performance Tracking GPS, your personal sports scientist. Available now at sportsperformancetracking.com.
Garley Trophy Centre is a long-established business that has been operating for over 47 years and is a leading retailer of trophies and awards in Melbourne. Our showroom is in Hallam with thousands of trophies on display. In October 2018,
We are doing it live down here for GameFace at Ben Kavanagh Reserve. Doing it live for Morty Alec, the Bloods. You know them well, Lockers, over the years.
Yes,
great club.
Absolutely,
And
fantastic club.
Aren't they looking resplendent in here at their new, I want to say new club rooms?
They are. They're only 12 months old, so yeah,
Pretty
very
fresh,
new.
pretty fresh. And they just had their dinner, the boys, and you can probably see on the camera some of them still lingering over there. And you might have noticed there's a bit of room here on the panel at the moment. There's a lot of space.
There's a lot of room.
And we've got Will Hunter over by the bar. Will Hunter, you've got a guest I'm going to hand to you now.
Yes, guys, where else would you find me but right next to the bar here at Morty Alec, of course. Fantastic setup, as you said. Lucky enough to be joined by the President, Coxie. Thanks for having us, man.
Pleasure, Wilbur. Anytime, mate. You're more than welcome.
Just been said, you haven't really had a lot of help behind the bar, and as soon as I park my ass here and get in the shot, everyone wants to get behind the bar. That's just how it is, isn't it?
No, I'm surprised I can't see Wayne Fuller behind there. He doesn't do much, but yeah, he's not behind the bar today, so yeah.
He's actually running around eating chippies out of the bowl that were left over from the dinner. Hey, you guys have some pretty nice dinners throughout the season, and fish and chips on the menu tonight. You're halfway through yours, so thanks for taking some time out from your delicious fish and chips to chat to us. How is it?
Fantastic, mate. Actually, we're very lucky. Tonight we got fish and chips rather than the chicken that's normally served up by the Zealy family. But I say it in jest, mate. The Zeals do a fantastic job behind the jump for us and keep plenty of our supporters. And AFL women come up now, and we have our netballers here on a Thursday night as well. So it's become one really good club as far as that's concerned. And yeah, a lot of thanks to the people who are working pretty tirelessly in the kitchen.
Yeah, fantastic. Because footy clubs, they're built on the work of the volunteers, and you got some great ones around, don't you?
Yeah, no, we have, mate. Wayne Fuller will talk himself up, Gaddy will talk himself up, but there's a lot more behind that's actually make this whole ship come together. So no, they're very much appreciated.
Absolutely, and the facilities here are absolutely Mickey Mouse, and this little bar setup is tremendous. I reckon you might have to hose me out by the end of the night. So you're pretty lucky to have some pretty good facilities like this.
Yeah, well, last time you were here, Wilbur, I think the hamburger competition got cancelled after that because you enjoyed the tucker so well. So let's see how the beers go tonight, mate, and we'll have a few of those, but we won't be turning the taps off tonight, mate.
Fantastic. Well, I do got to say, you did bloody ruin that competition.
Why is Robbo laughing so much over there now?
He takes any opportunity he can to take a little bit of urine out of me whenever he gets that opportunity. So he loves it. No, you guys are doing some fantastic things. You got some great characters around here. Speedy did a good job first up.
Yeah, no, he's quite a character, Speedy. He's one of our special ones, mate. He's a ripper young fella, mate, and we're really glad to have him around the club, mate.
He had no hesitation in throwing a few players under the bus, that's for sure. He's not shy.
Oh, no, he just gets in first, that's all. They'll be throwing him under the bus if they had the chance, but no, he's good enough to get up there and give you a bit of insight into the Morty Alec Footy Club.
No, very good. And, hey, sponsors, massive part of any footy club. A couple you'd like to thank?
Oh, certainly. Velocity Management Group have been huge for us this year. They've just been fantastic. We've got Morty Alec Garden Supplies and Who Cares We Care. They've both jumped back on board again and terrific sponsors of ours. And we're really fortunate to have Mitsubishi Holden in Brighton jump on board this year, which have been fantastic as well. So, no, very, very much appreciated to our sponsors, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting year on field, but a big back half coming up.
Oh, for sure. We've got a couple of really important games coming, and Mick and the team are really working hard to make sure that those 4 points go next to our name. But, yeah, look, it's an even competition. We're doing our best like everybody else, and, yeah, we'll see how we go.
Fantastic. Thank you again for your hospitality, mate. It's always great to come down to Mordialloc. You've got some bloody awesome facilities, and to you guys behind the bar, you're doing a fantastic job. Keep it up. Keep these cold. Wayne Fuller, he's off talking to other people, but he's going right.
Well,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'll just quickly just give a shout out to a great mate of mine, Lockie McLean, playing down at Hyatt, playing 350 games of footy. You might have to get there early to watch him kick the dew off the grass, but a ripper bloke he is, and you won't meet a better local footballer than Lockie McLean. So all the best to Lockie McLean down at Hyatt this week.
He's an absolute star, and very well said, Coxie, and thanks for joining us again and your hospitality. Back to you, boys.
Will Hunter over there by the bar looking very, very comfortable as he sidles up next to Constable Cox, Dave Cox.
Cox.
Is he a sergeant or is he?
He's very high up. I think he's.
He might be.
Yeah, he might be a detective sergeant, I think. So,
Jeez.
yes, he's very high up.
Don't get it wrong.
Don't get it wrong. Here he comes, the big fella.
Yes.
The room is rumbling with Will returning.
Get me a beer, would you, on the way
Where's
back,
our
son?
beers, Will? You've got to be kidding.
He's looked after himself. Big well done, mate. That was fantastic.
England at the bar there, fellas.
Yeah, we missed out. Now, I will say one thing about Lockie McLean. I've played footy with him. 350 games. He's probably only had about 700 kicks in his career, and not one of them fit the target. He's the worst. He's an unreal fella. Lockie, you are a star, but you cannot kick the football.
As far as footballers go, you're a good bloke.
Oh, you're a great bloke. He's as hard as a cat's head. Always defends with a smile on his face, but he's kicking his shit out.
Tell you who's not shit house, and that is the team of the week, the players that are in it. These guys have been plucked out by you two, sweating over the team sheets and looking over the best players and talking to the coaches and trying to find out what you can. It is the Swifts Locker Division 1 team of the week, and there are some handy players in there. I'm going to hand it over to you. Let's go to you, Lockers. You can start us off in the back line.
Well, back line, Mickey Rogers from Bentley Footy Club again. It's a couple of weeks in a row in the back pocket. Will Clark, St Paul's, I think he's made that position, either centre-half back, full-back his own. Young Cameron Blitzatz from Cheltenham. Actually just saw on Twitter earlier today from our mate Paul Amy that he's playing his first game for Sandy Dragons under 18s on the weekend, so great effort from Cameron.
Fantastic. He's a great young footballer.
I will be dragging out my best name from each line as well. You've got to go with the Blitzers from Cheltenham.
It's a ripper. Oh, we missed that on Monday.
We did.
We really did miss that on Monday when we filmed.
Yeah.
Although don't worry, mate, you can have a look at the tape. They're going up either later today or tomorrow, and we didn't miss an opportunity to sink the boots in while you weren't there. So fantastic.
I've got the GameFace app, so I'll check it out straight away.
Of course. Speaking of Cheltenham halfback, Jack Worrell, he's been in great form and instrumental on the weekend. Josh Dickerson as well from Mordialloc. Fantastic to see a Mordialloc player centre halfback. We spoke about him earlier. Mickey Brown gave him a big pump up, and Adam Collinson from East Malvern on the other half-back flank. So very solid back six.
Very good centre line. Jimmy Ziller, back from Sandringham, playing some great footy for St Paul's. Chris Orton-Milne, your mate, Will.
Yeah, man.
Your man, Will. We've still got to get him in on the show, so you can explain his admission from the top 35. Hamish Curtis, who's still sitting over there now on the wing.
Not even listening.
No.
Where is he?
He's just over there.
He's not listening. Not listening.
Hamish.
No, don't worry about it. A couple of names, I've got to pull it out. Jack Worrell, famous Carlton name, that one. Check it out if you want
Jack
to.
Worrell.
Everyone's just saying, who gives a crap? Robbo, move on.
Captain of Chelt, Jack Worrell.
Jimmy Ziller. That's
Dirty's
son.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great name, Jimmy Ziller.
Jimmy Ziller. He's a ripping kid.
Well done, Steve.
Unreal.
Moving on, half-forward flank.
Jay Carosella from Oakley District gets a gig in there. Alex Spencer got swung forward and kicked I think 3 goals on the weekend, so well done to him. And Jordan Tabachman from St Kilda City, he was outstanding on the weekend and played a fair bit in the guts, but moved forward in the last quarter and kicked a couple of late goals to sink the doggies. So
that's a great name.
Tabachman.
Tabachman. You can't have him in the. He should be to forwardman this week. He's Tabachman. That's a great
sentiment.
As far as jokes go, that was absolutely horrific.
I am a dad. I'm allowed to.
That's a dad joke.
No, but he's looking a very, very handy pickup, Jordan Tabachman, so good on him.
Very good. Will, forward line, Corbett Sutherland, 2 weeks in a row, kicked another 3 goals. Old mate Daniel Farmer again, I think that's his 4th week in a row he's kicked 4 goals, so very consistent from Dan Farmer. And Alex Highwood from East Malvern in the forward pocket.
How many Corbins do you know?
Not many Corbins.
Not many Corbins. I'm going to give it to Corbin Sutherland from
Not many.
Bentley. Well done, if any.
Alrighty, in the rucks, the Duck, obviously the number one ruck spot, Chris Carey, absolute superstar. Robert Utica from Cheltenham, that's his second game for Cheltenham, and he's been outstanding in both. I think second time team of the week as well. So he's having a handy inclusion. Oh yeah, bloody oath he has.
Well.
He has been very, very good, very handy pickup. And Chris Sparrow Brooking from Morty Alec as well sneaks in there in the rucks.
I got to go with Leduca. I like Chris Brooking. It's got to be a name that you'd love to call if you're a commentator of the football. And I reckon I could hear Rexy Hunt saying, Robert Ludica. It's a good one. Moving on.
Very good name. Interchange bench, Aaron Purvis, St Kilda City. Jimmy Morris from Morty Alec Ford was good on the weekend. Jack Hammond, who we spoke about earlier, did a great job on Chris DeLuca on Saturday. And Nathan Stagg from Bentley, brother of Roland Stagg.
It's a couple of good names there. Stag weekend, I suppose you're having a good time. But I've got to give it to Aaron Nervous Purvis. Is he a forward line player?
Aaron, was it? He actually won the goal kicking at Casey Demons years ago as a full forward in the development league. The year Fev was there. He started in the seniors.
So he's not a Nervous Purvis in front of goal at all.
He's more a midfielder these days, but definitely started his career as a forward.
That has been the Swivs Locker Division 1 team of the week. Pretty handy team there, Plugger. You liking that? You got
very handy team.
Anything for us over there?
Yeah. With a couple of the Facebook comments, we've had Harry Haley, who's in the room at the moment.
That's a great name.
Just comment, who in God's name bloody does team of the week?
Because he's never been in it.
Who does team of the week? Will, Robbo, Lockers, can you let
Not
us know
me.
who is involved in team of the week each week? Harry Haley is actually in the room at the moment.
That's rubbish.
He wants to know who does team of the week, mate.
Well, it's a combined effort. It's a team effort.
It's a combined effort over there.
Combined.
I have no idea.
I'll read the tea leaves. Harry Haley might be in it this week if he gets a kick.
Ooh, bang!
Ooh, have some of that, Hollywood.
Bang! Straight back
have
at you.
Have some of that.
Viewers, if there's anybody that you think has missed out on the team of the week for this week, comment and let us know, and we'll give you maybe a reason why they're not in the team.
Not you, Harry.
But back to you guys.
Benny, you've obviously been around football clubs a long time with a quip like that. That's when you've got to do something like this in the now. You've got to go bang like that. That's a dab after
to make up for it. No, Harry's he's a good man, Harry.
All right, what are we doing, boys? We've gone through the team of the week. We've got to do the next round of football. What about this one, no? Morty Alec versus Oakley District.
We've done that. That was last week, mate. You have.
No, that's not my fault. You put
look at the screen, buddy.
I don't look at the screen. I look at the paper.
Look at the sheets.
You put an extra. Anyway, this is how good I am. I can look at that and go, no, that's not right, and move straight on to the round 13 fixture. It's brought to you by Melsafe. Now, you guys have got a ding-dong battle. I would have got there quicker if you'd not stuffed up. But anyway, a ding-dong battle
Turn it up.
going on between you two in the tips. And as Ben Lockwood said off the top of the show, you're only as good as your last game of football, your last performance. So, Lockers, you are on fire at the moment. I'm not sure about the year-long the result. We'll get to that in a minute. But brought to you by Melsafe. Let's go through these games. You've got them already picked. Cheltenham versus Morty Alec at home.
I'll let you start off with this one.
All right, Cheltenham a few out this week from what I've heard on the grapevine. I will go, and I'm at Morty Alec at the minute, so I'm tipping Morty Alec.
Right, got Morty Alec picked. What about you, Wilbur?
I might go Cheltenham in this one.
Going
So
with Cheltenham?
What you
we
say, Will? Speak up.
We'll
say Cheltenham.
I went Cheltenham.
Cheltenham.
I've got to say that really quietly so none of the blokes over there can hear me. Oh, they're bloody watching it anyway. So
some scary-looking dudes too.
You keep an eye on the comments, Plugger. They're probably going to come in thick and fast. No, I think, yeah.
All right, we're split down the middle with that one. Oakley Districts at home to St Kilda City. We'll go with you, Wilbur, first.
St Kilda City for mine. Playing some good footy, knocking off the reigning premiers last week. Hard to go past them.
Yep, St Kilda City just must win now. Keep the finals chances alive.
Okay, we're all going with St Kilda City there. St Paul's, the mighty St Paul's. This is going to be probably the game of the week, boys. Hard to pick, I feel for you. St Paul's versus Port Melbourne Colts. The fact that it's at home for St Paul's, and they are a mighty club at home, aren't they?
Yep.
You'd probably be leaning that way, but I'll ask you, who are you going for?
St Paul's all the way. They won't drop. A, they won't drop two in a row, and B, they will not lose at home. Port Colts fairly ordinary last week though, so you expect them to bounce back.
Yeah.
Still say St
Wilbur?
Paul's.
St Paul's knocked them off on their home ground, but it's a very, very wide sort of ground at St Paul's. It'll be difficult for the Colts to really sort of shut them down, so hard to go past St Paul's. They very, very rarely lose at home, as Locker's just said.
Moving on to the next game, and tell you what, two really cracking real
Games
cracking
around.
games. East Melbourne at home to Dingley. Jeez, if you've got nothing better to do and you're in that area, you'd go and watch that game of football, wouldn't you? Who are you picking, Wilbur?
I am going East Melbourne. They're in good form.
They are in good
and at
form.
home, I'm not writing off Dingley, but I think East Melbourne might sneak home, but it'll be close. There won't be much in it either way at the final siren, I don't think. Lockers.
Yeah, it'll be a close game, no doubt. East Melbourne's form is really, really good at the moment, no doubt. Dingley, they just play cracking games, these two sides, so it'll be super close. I think just East Melbourne, because it's at home, just in a tight one.
All right, Hyatt at home to Bentley is the last game that'll round us out. Who have you got there, Lockers?
I'm going to go Hyatt in a bit of an upset. Hyatt at home, as I've spoken about many, many times on this show, it is a horrendous place to go play footy.
Yep.
It's an horrendous place to coach footy. When you're the opposition, when you're the away team. So
Stop looking at me, Wilbur. You want me to say something?
Bentley
I'm actually hoping you don't.
Bentley have been up for a while. I think to celebrate Lockie's 350th, they'll have 4,000 cans each before the seniors start. It will be feral.
Playing in the
at
thirds,
Hyde.
is he? He's playing
Plays
in
in
the
the thirds.
thirds.
He starts at 6 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning,
jeez.
so
Oh,
38 cans before the twos start. Hyatt will win.
Yep, Wilbur.
Sounded a bit like me, but I was playing twos. But anyway, no, I think Bentley might get the points in this one. But yeah, again, congratulations to Lockie McLean. 350 games, as Coxie said, fantastic achievement. Not many people get to that milestone, Robbo. It's a fantastic achievement.
It is. Let's have a look at where the standings are between you two boys at the moment. Or we're going to have a look at what you were last week. It says
Just a
here,
look at last week, yeah.
last week's tips. Lockers comes home with 4 wins, Wilbur 3. What went wrong for you, Wilbur? You've been on fire this year.
Yeah, I have.
I have.
I have.
If I do say so myself.
Yeah, bit of head wobble.
Little head wobble. The wobbler.
It comes from you, I think. Just sitting next to you so often, it just sort of
rubs off.
It's just a learned behaviour. So, no, I think Lockers did exceptionally well. Tipped a couple of upsets that got over the line. And, thank Christ for Cheltenham getting up, because otherwise it would have been
Tough day for
5-2.
you. Yeah, 'cause I went for Bentley, didn't I? Absolutely.
Oh, well. Boys, that's been the show. Good luck to you this weekend, wherever you venture out to watch the football. I hope you stay warm. I hope you've got a warm jacket.
Absolutely.
And you've got some thermal underwear. It has been cold of late.
Double layer it,
I'm
just to be sure.
And I'm a Tasmanian. That's saying
You're used
something.
to the cold, Robbo.
I am. Thanks to you, Plugger, over there. Radio Mike running all the stuff, the buttons, the desk. You've done a great job, as per usual. Good show. Thanks to the Morty Alec Football Club for their generous hospitality tonight, as they all start to filter out and get themselves ready for their work day tomorrow, and then their game of football. They've got a massive game against Cheltenham. They've been absolutely fantastic to us this evening down here at Ben Kavanagh Reserve. We've been doing it live for the SFNL Division 1. These guys have got a massive game, Ben Lockwood. We wish them all the best,
game.
don't we?
Absolutely. I'm all over the Bloods this weekend, this Saturday.
You're going to get down and watch this one?
Terry Lavelle's looking at me up there, and if I don't pick them, she'll kill me. So, Terry, we're on this week. We're on.
What about you, Wilbur? What are you doing this weekend?
We've got a Division 2 game for the for the match of the day. I think it's Hampton and Springvale Districts, which should be an absolute corker. Just before we go as well, I'd like to congratulate Riet Pell from Keysborough, who got picked in the city team for the AFL Vic Young Guns game. So he's an absolute star for Keysy, young Riet Pell, and listed in Colling's VFL Academy, and he's hopefully going places. So well done to you, Riet. Go well on Saturday.
Make sure you download the GameFace app. That is in the GameFace.
What, people haven't already? I'm staggered that there are some people that haven't already.
All these guys would, for sure.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
For those of you that haven't, it is in the Google App Store or on iTunes.
I just got a Morty Alex salute.
Oh, did you?
Farewell salute.
Which is, can we put that on?
The old one-finger salute from the
Morty
crowd.
It wasn't a thumb, was it?
Terrific. It wasn't a thumbs up, put it that way.
No.
Well, I've had an absolute ball. I'm going to head over to that bar over there and order myself one more beer before we leave here.
Will shout.
It's
I'm on
Will
the tipping.
shout.
Absolutely.
Get into it, Will.
I put my beer on the counter, on the bar, and thanks to Gaddy, he's grabbed it and filled it up. It was half full, and he's just topped it up.
That's all you got to do. You just got to take your empty cup over there, and it gets magically filled up. What a football club.
Unreal.
Make sure you get down here and enjoy this fantastic club rooms they've got down here too. They've really done a great job, the Bloods. We've enjoyed bringing you the GameFace Footy show for Division 1. Down here at Ben Kavanagh Reserve, we'll be back next week to bring you all the results from Division 1. Have a great weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you then.